All right, we were in Psalms, the 79th chapter, showing us what happened to us when we fell in 70 AD. We fought from 65, approximately 65 to 70 AD. That's when you read the New Testament, everything stops around 65 AD. And it picks up again when the Mashiach sends the angel to John on the island of Patmos, approximately 90 to 96 AD. But the writings of the New Testament pretty much stops in 65 AD when we started the war with the Romans and all those nations that would join with them to bring us down. So I want to go to Psalm 79th chapter to show you what happened, because he said what was written to be fulfilled. Because Mashiach only had the law and the prophets. That's all he had. So Psalm 79 tells us what happened to us when he said in Luke 21 and 20, when you see the city compassed with armies, what armies would it be? Like you say, you see the cities compassed with armies in America, what armies would it be? The American armies, first and foremost. But this was the Roman armies. So Psalm 79 and 1 down tells you what happened to us and what they did. O Most High, the heathen are coming to thine inheritance, to their land, to the Most High's land, which is Israel. Thy holy temple have they defiled. They have laid Jerusalem on heaps. The dead bodies of thy servants, we've defined the servants in Baruch 3 and 36 and 37, have they given to be meat unto the fowls of the heaven. So, as they killed us, nobody buried us. So the buzzards and the birds were eating our bodies, our dead bodies. The flesh of thy saints, who are the children of Israel, defined in Psalms 148:14, unto the beasts of the earth. Beasts were eating our bodies up. Their blood have they shed like water round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them. So all I could think of is whenever, they come and they open up the water hydrants and the water flows all throughout the street. That was our blood flowing. In 70 AD, we don't know about this Holocaust against us. But you know it now. We are become a reproach, a disgrace to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to them that are round about us. How long, Most High? Wilt thou be angry forever? Shall our jealousy burn like fire? So you gotta understand, people don't know the Most High like they should. You allowed this to happen. Didn't have to happen because we went to war, the Most High, we wake up, the Most High and killed 149,000. And we lift up his hand to touch any of our enemies. But when we broke his laws, turn his face away from us. How long almost? That's why we crying to him. Wilt thou be angry forever? Shall our jealousy burn like fire? Pour out thy wrath upon the heathen that have not known thee, and upon the kingdoms that have not called upon thy name. Because all the gods of the nations are what? Idols. Psalm 96 and 5. For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his dwelling place. Oh, remember not against us former iniquities. Let thy tender mercies not getting something that we deserve over and over again speedily prevent us. For we are brought very low. Help us, O Most High, of our salvation, for the glory of thy name. Because our name is Yah, Shar Allah, and the Most High name of Yah is within our name. And deliver us and purge away our sins for thy name's sake. Wherefore should the heathen say, where is their power? Let him be known among the heathen in our sight by the revenging of the blood of thy servants which is shed. We killing y'all. Where's your power? You don't have no power. But you're going to know that it is the Most High when he set righteousness up on this earth. You only got to do that one time. That's it. But hear what they said? Wherefore should the heathen say, where is their power? Let him be known among the heathen in our sight by the revenging of the blood of thy servants which is shed. All the blood that was shed that ran down the streets like water. Let the Most High revenge on them for the blood that they shed of the servants of the Most High. Let the sign of the prisoner come before thee. According to the greatness of thy power, preserve thou those that are appointed to die, and render unto our neighbors sevenfold into their bosom their reproach, their disgrace against us, wherewith they have reproached thee, O Most High. They have disgraced the Most High. So we thy people and sheep of thy pasture will give thee thanks forever. We will show forth thy praise to all generations. Yeah. Right. We hadn't even went to captivity under the Edomites in this foreign land, or land of our the Aboriginal people that was here. But we always, cried to the Most High to get his mercy, not getting something we do deserve. He bring us out of our captivity, away from our oppressor, from our enemies. And then what we do? Like we always have done. Daniel's 9:11. Daniel's 9:11. See all that crying that we did to the Most High? Yeah, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High, because we have sinned against him. We sinned against him over and over again, and went into captivity after captivity after captivity, all these nations, because we sinned against the Most High. Therefore he brought his wrath upon us. And here we are today. The last days that we have to see this going down. Look at let's go to some more prophecy. Go to 2 Ezra 16. No, before we go there, look at well, I'll go back to that. Go to 2 Ezra 16, and we're gonna look at verse 14. Verse 74. It says, "Hear, O ye my beloved." We know the beloved are the 12 tribes of Israel. Said the Most High, "Behold, the days of trouble are at hand." Jacob's trouble. We see all the trouble that we're dealing with. "But I will deliver you from the same. So be ye not afraid, neither doubt. For the Most High is your guide." He's going to guide us. Those that's locked in. Listen. Go to 2 Ezra 16 and 11. "The Most High shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? The earth quaketh, and the foundation thereof. The sea arises up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also, before the Most High, and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. We know that right hand represented Mashiach Yahushai. Just in case you didn't know, go to Acts, the 2nd chapter. Let's see about that right hand. We can look at verse 34. Well, let's look at verse 32 and 33 first. It says, it's Acts 2:32 and 33. It said, this Mashiach Yahushai had the Most High raised up on the third day. He raised him up, where we all are witnesses. He walked the earth for 40 days. He said, we all are witnesses. They seen him. Therefore, being by the right hand of the Most High, exalted, and having received of the Father the promise of the Holy Spirit, he hath shed forth this which ye now see and hear. For David is not ascended into the heavens, but he said himself, the Most High said unto my power, of Mashiach Yahushai, sit thou on my right hand, until I make thy foes of the enemies thy footstool. That's in Psalms 1:10 and 1, right? But we see the Mashiach Yahushai on the right hand. It says, therefore being, verse 33, therefore being by the right hand of the Most High exalted, right? That's why when he prayed the prayer before he was crucified in John the 17th chapter, verse 5, he said, and now, O Father, glorify thou me with thine own self, with the glory which I had with thee before the world was. See? The glory that he had with the Most High before the world was. See? So, he existed before this world. He's the one that created all the worlds through the power of the Most High. Understand, overstand this. This is what we're talking about. So now, There gave another scripture in Edom, Isaiah the 63rd chapter. We read the book of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. They gave Isaiah 63 and 1 down. We're going to read that. And just to show you how it coincides, this is the Old Testament, right? It says Isaiah 63 and 1 down. We're going to read that. It says, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, coming from dealing with the Edomites, glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. So we got to look at, he says, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel? Why is your garments all red? See, they gave Isaiah 63 and 1. We're gonna continue to read. You know how they say, read on. You take it out of context. Let's bring it in context. They asked him a question, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel? Why is your clothes red? Why your garment is red? And thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. He said, I have trodden the wine press alone, like somebody stomping on grapes. And of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger and trample them in my fury. This future prophecy. And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed, or the 12 tribes of Israel, 1/3, mind you, is come. So now, when you go to Revelations, the 19th chapter, as we were before, you see how this coincides with what we just read. Because in verse 11 said, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, pure righteous power. And he that sat upon it was called faithful and true, or Mashiach Yahushai, and in righteousness. Righteousness is the keeping of the laws of the Most High. He does judge and make war, right? So it tells you in verse 13, it said, and he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. His clothes, his garment gonna be dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of the Most High. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. The angels, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he shall smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, which is the laws of the Most High, and he treadeth the winepress in the fierceness of the and wrath of the Almighty power. Like we just reading here in Isaiah the 63rd chapter, as he said in verse 2. He say, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save, right? In verse 1. Righteousness is keeping of the Most High's laws. He's going to be speaking the laws of the Most High and smiting them with his mouth. Remember that. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel? Why is he red in his apparel? Why is his garments red? And thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? He said, I have trodden the winepress, like we read in Revelations, alone. And of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. He told you in Isaiah 47:3, he said, thy nakedness, the Edomites, going to be exposed for the wickedness that they've done and doing, shall be uncovered. Yeah, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, as we read about here, and I will not meet thee as a man. So when you coming as a man, you coming as angelic power. Going back to Isaiah 63rd chapter, he said, verse 4, he says, let's read verse 3. I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury. And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments. Hear that? Their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garment. That's why he's letting you know why his garments is red. And I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. The year that the Most High will sit on my side to redeem us from this wicked lands that he has scattered us in is come. The 1/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now look, that there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. And I will tread down the people. And you know that is talk about the people. That say, who is this that coming from Edom? That's the biblical name for the Aboriginal so-called Caucasian people. He said, and I will tread down the people in verse 6, in mine anger, and make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to the earth. Right? So let's see how he's going to do it. Their strength is what? Their military. Go to 2nd Ezra 13th chapter. It came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. What we just read about Mashawashai coming with his angels in Revelation 19th chapter, 11th verse, and here in Isaiah 63rd chapter. Thousands of heaven, thousands of angels, 200 million angels he's coming with. Revelation 9:16 says, and when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, and he said he's going to smite them with his mouth. Revelation 19 and 15. Let's read it again, so you know how this all goes together. They took it out of the Bible. The Apocrypha 14 books supposed to be in the Bible. They're in the original King James 6:11 Bible. Listen. Revelation 19:15, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, right? That with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, which is the law, such commandments, becoming in righteousness, which is keeping of the Most High's laws, and he treaded the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the Almighty power. We just read about that in Isaiah 63rd chapter, the scripture that they gave us to look at. So now, going back to 2nd Ezra 13, verse 3, And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, the Mashiach Yahushua and the angels. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that was seen unto him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice. First and foremost, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. It'll be burning people up. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heavens. So that's from every nation, four corners of the earth, to subdue the man that came out of the sea, the Mashiach Yahushua. But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region of or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. He couldn't see this mountain, this graven image that, this great mountain that he seen in his vision. He said, I couldn't see it. He said, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together, that's the army, the navy, the marines, and the air forces of all these nations, to subdue him, were so afraid. They're going to be afraid. Remember, he coming as a man. He coming in his angelic power, and yet does fight. They're going to be afraid, but they're going to fight. They're on orders. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, remember it said, he gonna smite the nations, out of his mouth he gonna smite the nations, but only I sent that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight. The army, the navy, the marines, and the air forces of all these nations, they all prepared to fight on Mashiach Yahushua, and burned them up, every one, so that upon the sudden of innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Ezra was crying out. He was like, who would deliver me? He was, man, he seen all these prophecies. Remember, the Most High gave him 124 more books than what the normal person had, which is 80. Look, let's get a little understanding on what it's saying. Go to verse 29. It says, behold, the days come, speaking of future prophecy, when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. He's going to begin to deliver us that's upon the earth. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. That's warfare. All in the streets. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. Who is that? You tell me that who saw as a man ascending, right? So where is that at? Let's go to Acts, the 1st chapter, the 9th verse. This Mashiach Rashai died, rose on the 3rd day, walked here for 40 days, and they seen this. Acts 1 and 9. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up. That's ascending. And a cloud, which is a chariot of the Most High, when you read Psalms 104 and 3, received him out of their sight. So this cloud, this chariot of the Most High, which they call a UFO, we call them IFOs, identified flying objects, because we know that they chariots of the Most High. The cloud received him out of their sight. So he went up, taken up. That's ascending, right? Just like when he come back, like we read about him coming back, Revelation 1 and 7. Revelation 1 and 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds. That's the chariots of the Most High, the IFOs, and every eye shall see him. And they also which pierced him, And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Hear that? So he coming with the clouds. He gonna descend. He ascended, he gonna descend from the fourth dimension to this wicked lands and so forth. That's what he's saying. Going back to us, 2 Ezra 13, verse 32. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared. Mashiach Yahushua. He's that whom thou sawest as a man ascending. Right? And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. They're going to be fighting against each other. And they're going to leave the battle that they have one against another. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. That's why they all together in this. United Nations. Oh yeah. That's what it's all about. But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion, and Zion shall come, and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. That's the children of Israel, 12 tribes of Israel. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, into the fire. Into the fire. Like he said, he gonna burn every last one of them up. Ain't gonna be nothing but dust and smell of smoke. And shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame. But Most High say he gonna melt you. Most High is fire from his waist up and fire from his waist down. And he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire. Now, that's why I go to, you said a law which is like unto fire. Go to Jeremiah 23. The law is like fire. Jeremiah 23 and 29. Is not my word like as a fire, said the Most High, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces? So his word is like fire. His word is like fire. And law is like fire. So, and then when you look at this mountain, it tells you those are the 10 tribes which were carried away captive by Salmanessar, the northern kingdom, that he's graving out to be there. Look at 2 Ezra 15, and let's look at verse 34. 2 Ezra 15 and 34. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm, right? They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth. People that are of importance upon the earth, even their own star, even their own people. And blood shall be from the sword unto the belly. Ooh. And dung of men unto the camel's broth. Man, camel's head stage. It's high. And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon earth. And they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. And then shall there come great storms from the south. How you gonna fight this? And from the north, and another part from the west. And strong winds, like tornadoes and hurricanes, shall arise from the east, and shall open it. And the cloud which he raised up in wrath, and the stars stirred to cause fear toward the east, and west wind shall be destroyed. The great and mighty clouds shall be lifted up full of wrath, and the star, that they may make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein. And they shall pour out over every high and eminent place and horrible star, fire and hail and flying swords, and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. Remember, he's not going to destroy the earth with water. He's going to use fire to purify this earth, to set up righteousness on this earth. And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the wood and grass of the meadows and their corn, destroying everything. And they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon and make her afraid. Babylon, America, and make her afraid. They shall come to her and besiege her, the star in all wrath. Shall they pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto the heaven. That's why you can see no stars, no moon, no sun. Like I told you, that soot or that dust, that black dust and smoke go up unto the heaven. And all they that be about her shall bewail her. And they that remain under her shall do service unto them that have put her in fear. Understand this. He said they're going to be wailing her, right? Go to Revelation 18. 18th chapter. Verse 8. Well, let's so you know, it's still talking about their kingdom. It said, Revelation 18, verse 2. And this mighty angel, verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine and wrath of her fornication, her going against the Most High's rules and regulations, I might say. All nations have drank of the wine. So you look at that wine, it's influencing spirits. For the wrath of her fornication, her going against the laws of the Most High, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. That's why they got the longshoremen just making all kind of money, because them ships is constantly coming into America. That's why I said, I heard another voice from her saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins. Come out of the mindset. Sin is what you do, your action, because you can go anywhere you want to go. If you still got sin, and you still gonna do the same thing. But he said, come out of her the way she'll have you sin. Guess why you got to change? And rebuke that spirit of sin from you. That ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Hear that? They receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquity. See, the Most High is looking down, and the sins of America have reached unto heaven. The Most High looking down. He's been looking down, but he's long suffering. but he will not acquit the wicked. This is what it says. Verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Most High who judges her. And the kings of the earth, who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her, like we just read in the Apocrypha. They're going to bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off, for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, America, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. Ain't nobody bringing those ships to America no more. For no man buyeth her merchandise anymore. See? All these things that they're going to name here in consecutive order. Verse 15, the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, seeing her America going down, weeping and wailing. They're going to be crying. And it's saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour, so great riches has come to naught, so great riches come to nothing. And every shipmaster, and all the company of ships, and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? What city is like unto America? And they cast dust on their heads, and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea, by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. See. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High hath avenged you on her. And it tells you, that they were crying, how long before you will avenge our blood that she hath shed? And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus will with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers, musicians, and of the pipers and the trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of millstones shall be heard no more at all in thee. The light of the candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom, men getting married, and the bride and women getting married, shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of this earth. But by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Remember, Revelations 12 and 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. How they do it? Revelation 18:23. Right here. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. So they use witchcraft. They dealing with, remember what Satan said. And I think a lot of people don't put it all together as such, because you have to really look at all that has been given. And when you put it all together, you see that it makes clear sense. But some people don't have common sense. But look what he said. This to Amashak Shah, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. And every time Amashak Shah rebuked him, he used the law. For you preachers out there saying we not under the law, prove that he didn't use the law to rebuke the devil after he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Prove he used something else. Go into the New Testament, show what he used to rebuke the devil. I challenge you on that. Look here. Go to Matthew the 4th chapter and Luke the 4th chapter, dealing with the same subject matter of a Mount Shavuot fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. Look at Matthew 4 and 8. Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. So he showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of the kingdoms, including the kingdoms that's going to be on this earth right now, in this present time, until the end, till the Most High bring forth his judgment that we've read about. And said unto him, all these things will I give thee, if, this is a condition, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. So you're seeing that the devil is deceived all the people, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived, you see? So now, the devil is telling Mashiach that all the glory of these kingdoms that's going to come on the earth after he was here can be given to him, or given to anyone, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Worship the devil, Satan, the dragon, the beast, the Edomites that's dealing with sorcery from Satan. Then said Mashiach unto him, get thee hence, Satan. For it is written, where is it written at, preachers? Thou shalt worship the Most High thy power, and him only shalt thou serve. Where that's written at? What scripture in the New Testament that he's quoting? He said, it is written. Where is it written? When the Messiah walked the earth, where was that written? This is showing you how to rebuke the devil. Examples of how to rebuke the devil. It is written, thou shalt worship the Most High thy power, your power, and him only shalt thou serve. They say, then the devil leaving him alone. Then the devil leaving him. And behold, angels came and ministered unto him. So where's that written at? He said, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Most High thy power, and him only shalt thou serve. Where's that written at? You know, we can go to Deuteronomy in the law. One place is written is Deuteronomy 10 and 20. So how are we not under the law? Do y'all see this? You see this? How they trying to keep you from being able to rebuke the devil. Thou shalt fear the Most High thy power, him thou shalt serve, him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave and swear by his name. That's what he's quoting from. You see? But see, y'all don't want to come here. You say we're not under this, but that's how he rebuked the devil. Deuteronomy 6 and 13. Thou shalt fear the Most High thy power, and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. That's what he's quoting from. It is written. That's where it's written. But you see, Satan has allowed them to deceive everyone that's following him by his sorceries. And Isaiah, the 18th chapter, coincides with Revelation, the 18th chapter, coincides with Isaiah, the 47th chapter. That's why when you go to Isaiah 47, we already determined that the virgin daughter of Babylon is the Edomites. This is what he said in verse 12. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries. Remember, you deceive the nations by his sorceries. Witchcraft and so forth. Dealing with Satan. Bow down to Satan, so the kingdoms is theirs. Stand now with thine enchantments and with thy multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. Hear that? If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly procrastinators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble. They're going to be as stubble, like tumbleweeds. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor a fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee, with whom thou hast labored, even the merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter, going back home. None shall save thee. They remember they're going to get far away from them. See the fire of America roasted, burning and burning and burning. Verse 10, but thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me, nobody see me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. If you wonder why it's happening, they said I am. Marcel Shai said he's I am. Last I heard. He said I am. He said I am the I am. But, they have said they I am. Look. Just a moment.